Just about 9 o'clock Thursday evening, time for another screen video cast on ABC6Hurricane.com. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist Fred Campagna, and there's impressive-looking Category 3 Hurricane Bill. 8 o'clock update from the Hurricane Center, keeping the winds at 125 miles per hour with gusts to 150 miles per hour, moving northwest still at 18 miles per hour. 24-4 north and 63-9 west, staying basically right on track for what the Hurricane Center has been predicting. So we have to give kudos for a pretty accurate track here over the last couple of days. 1,300 miles south-southeast of Providence. I want to point out this weather buoy, this purple dot up here. 18-foot seas and 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts, some 220 miles from the center of the storm. So Bill is a large and intense hurricane churning up the Atlantic right now. To this point, hasn't had any impact on a landmass, and it will be only fringe effects for the East Coast and for Bermuda if the storm takes the projected track. But at this point, that is still a very big if, and one of the reasons for that, Bill is such a large and impressive hurricane. This is not a run-of-the-mill storm that is going to be encountering a trough coming in from the west and kicking it out to sea. So Bill may become a Category 4 again sometime tomorrow afternoon, still Category 3 at 2 o'clock Saturday, and then Category 2 as it races on by at 2 o'clock on Sunday, continuing up into the Canadian Maritimes. Notice now, actually, the official forecast track from the Hurricane Center does not allow for a direct hit in Nova Scotia from this storm, so that's some pretty good news if that turns out to be the case. Look, though, at all of these other lines on there, all indicating, see them right in there, all indicating a track farther to the west than what what the Hurricane Center is projecting for Bill. So that's one of the things that we'll continue to monitor, and haven't seen really any change in that. The computer projections have been west of what the Hurricane Center has predicted. The only problem is, if we go back to the beginning of this, look initially at how tightly clustered all of the tracks are. So in the near term, all the computer models agree, and then it's only later on, say 72 hours out, that you start to get some real distance between these lines here and some real inconsistencies between the computer models as the storm heads up into our neck of the woods. So that's what we have to deal with, is that uncertainty in the track. Bill, similar, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, to Hurricane Edouard in terms of track and maybe not intensity. Bill is forecast to be more intense than Edouard, but this map right here, that 120 miles representing the distance from where Edouard actually was and where Bill is projected to be. But you can see that Edouard falls within that shaded area, so it's possible that Bill could be in the similar position to where Edouard was, and if that is the case, then we are likely going to see some pretty significant impacts on Cape Cod and the islands, because Edouard brought over tropical storm force sustained winds to the Cape and the islands, and wind gusts of 90 miles per hour to Cape Cod, and to Nantucket, and 77 miles per hour to Cape Cod. Also, the rain from Edouard was very impressive, about 6 inches of rain on the Cape and a quarter inch of rain in Providence. And Edouard was a minimal hurricane when passing New England, and the forecast for Bill is for it to be a borderline major hurricane, a 3 going into a Category 2 as it passes to our east on Sunday. So still plenty to be concerned about with Hurricane Bill. At this point, I'd say the certainty is for some very rough surf and seas. Boating, not really an option this weekend in southeastern New England. Swimming, I would also seriously reconsider that in any south-facing beaches, because this is the kind of surf that we haven't seen in some time away, especially on Sunday as Bill races on by. So that's what we know for sure. There's still the possibility Hurricane Bill throws some very gusty wind and some heavy rain at southeastern Massachusetts. Much less or lower chance of that happening in the Providence area and throughout all of Rhode Island, but still not outside of the realm of possibility for those who are actually hoping that one of these storms comes our way. For the record, I am not in that camp.